My name is Kofi, and this is how I almost stole a mansion. Not with a gun, but with charm, hunger, and a lie that got out of control. 21, I had nothing. No home, no family, no future, only hunger. The kind that burns through your chest and keeps you awake at night. Back in Ada Foa, life was quiet until sickness came. My parents died within a week of each other. After that, I stopped being a son and became a survivor. People said I was strong, but strength doesn't fill an empty stomach. One morning, I stood by the sea. The wind was cold, the waves loud. Looked at the water and made a promise. I will make it, even if I have to crawl through fire. That day, I packed a small bag and left for Accra. I thought the city would welcome me. Instead, it swallowed me. Accra was noise, dust, and faces that never looked at you twice. For weeks, I slept in an old mosque near Jamestown, pretending to pray just so I could stay inside. During the day, I carried loads in Makola Market. At night, I watched city lights from the gutter, wondering how people inside those bright houses could eat and laugh while I starved. I told myself I only needed one chance. One door to open. Just one. That door came through someone I never expected. Kofi! A voice called one hot afternoon. I turned and saw her, Ajoa, a girl from my village. Older, confident, wearing a clean dress that smelled like perfume and money. She smiled. You look hungry. I am, I said. She studied me for a moment, then whispered, come with me. I know a rich woman who needs a houseboy. She pays well, 1,000 cedis every month. My heart jumped. 1,000 cedis? That was more money than I had seen in a year. I followed her through the city in a taxi. The farther we went, the bigger the houses became, until we reached a gate so tall it touched the clouds. When the gate opened, I saw a mansion shining under the sun. Marble walls, iron doors, flowers that looked too expensive to touch. Inside, everything smelled clean and rich, like the air itself cost money. And then she walked in, Madame Acua, tall, proud, wrapped in colorful Kent that glowed in the light. Her eyes were sharp, the kind that could see through lies. This is Kofi, Ajoa said. He's from my village. A good boy. Madame Acua looked at me slowly. Can you cook? Clean? And do you understand discretion? Yes, madam, I said, though I didn't even know what discretion meant. She nodded. You start today. And just like that, my new life began. That night, lying on a real bed for the first time in months, I smiled. I had food. I had work. I had hope. But hope is a dangerous thing, because once you taste it, you'll do anything to keep it. And soon, I did. I woke up before the sun that morning. The house was so quiet I could hear my heartbeat. Even the air smelled rich soap, perfume, and power. For the first time in years, I wasn't waking up to hunger, but I was waking up to something new, pressure. I had to be perfect, because in this house, mistakes were expensive. Ajoa showed me what to do before she left. Sweep, cook, clean, serve. Simple words. Hard work. I didn't know how to use a gas cooker or washing machine, but I learned fast. Fear makes you smart. By evening, I thought I had done well. The floors shone. The dishes sparkled. Then I heard his voice for the first time. Ohin Kwasi, Madame Acua's husband. He was tall, with gray hair and eyes that looked like they once ruled people. He called me from the living room. Kofi, come here. I walked in, trying to stand straight. Yes, sir. He smiled faintly. I want roasted plantain and groundnuts. Sweet. A little burnt. Just how I like it. I nodded quickly. Yes, sir. Sounded easy. But I had never roasted anything in my life. My mother used to do that. I only watched. Still, I wanted to impress him. So I peeled the plantain, added sugar, and fried the groundnuts with pepper. I thought the spice would make it special. When I served it, he took one bite, and his face changed. He spat it out. What is this nonsense? He shouted. My hands shook. I'm sorry, sir. He threw the plate into the bin. Are you trying to kill me with sugar and pepper? You call this roasted? You are useless. The word hit harder than a slap. Useless. When Madame Acua came home later, he wasted no time. Acua, sack this boy tomorrow. He can't even cook plantain. She sighed. All right, tomorrow then. Tomorrow. That word chased me all night. I lay in the small boy's quarters, staring at the ceiling fan turning slowly above me. I had just started, and already I was losing everything. Then I remembered what Ajoa said before she left. In this city, Kofi, you survive by being smart, not honest. Those words echoed in my head. So I made a choice, a dangerous one. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, I walked down the hall. The floor was cold under my feet. I stopped at Kwasi's door. My hand trembled on the handle. If I did this, there would be no going back. But hunger doesn't care about right or wrong. It only wants more. I knocked softly. A voice came from inside. "Who's there?" "It's me," I whispered. "Kofi." The door opened halfway. He looked at me, confused. "What are you doing here at this hour?" I swallowed hard. "Please, sir. Don't let Madam sack me. I'll do anything to stay." His eyes narrowed. "Anything?" I nodded. And that night, I crossed a line that changed everything. I told myself it was only to survive. But deep down, I knew I had just traded a piece of my soul. They say hunger makes a man desperate, but desperation makes him dangerous. After that night, everything changed. I stopped being the new houseboy. I became a secret. Oheen was different the next morning. He smiled at me like I was the sun after a long storm. He hummed old songs, ate his food slowly, laughed softly. He looked alive again. And me? I felt strange. Guilty but powerful. Dirty but safe. When Madame Acua came downstairs, she noticed his new mood. "You look happy," she said. He smiled. Maybe I just needed rest. But his eyes found me across the room and didn't move away. That was the moment I realized he would protect me, no matter what. Later that day, he called me to his study room. "Kofi," he said, "you're learning fast. You have a good heart. Don't listen to what others say." He opened his drawer and handed me an envelope. Inside were new Sadie notes. "Buy yourself better clothes," he said. I thanked him, but inside, my thoughts were spinning. I had never touched that much money, and I started to think, maybe this was my chance. Maybe I could rise higher. Soon, he began to trust me with everything. His phone calls, his meals, even his medicine. He called me my boy. Sometimes, he said, "You make me feel young again." But power is a poison that tastes sweet at first. The more he gave me, the more I wanted. And the more he wanted me near him, the more Madame Acua watched me. She noticed how he smiled when I entered a room. She noticed how he defended me whenever someone complained. Her eyes followed me everywhere. I could feel it, suspicion was growing. But I told myself she couldn't touch me. Not while he trusted me this much. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, and whispered to myself, "This house will be mine one day, not by birth, but by plan." I didn't know it then, but every dream built on deceit demands payment. And mine would come sooner than I thought. 3 weeks later, the mansion felt like it belonged to me. I knew every sound, every smell, every secret corner. Even the marble floors seemed to shine for me. Oheen trusted me completely now. He gave me his keys, his passwords, even his letters from the bank. To him, I was more than a worker. I was a friend, maybe more. But I forgot one thing. Every secret has a witness. One evening, while I was ironing Oheen's clothes, I heard his voice from the phone. "Yes, doctor," he said. "I still feel weak. Dizzy sometimes. No, don't tell my wife. She worries too much." He paused. "No, I can't stop seeing the boy. He gives me strength." My hand froze. So that was what I had become, his medicine. Not a person, just something that made him feel alive. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and realized my safety was tied to his heartbeat. If he died, I would lose everything. So I began to plan. The next morning, I changed how I treated Madame Acua. I smiled more, spoke softly, acted loyal. I learned her favorite foods, her perfume, the songs she played in her car. She still watched me like a hawk, but I wanted her to see what she expected. A good boy. And that's when Amma arrived. She was the new maid, young, shy from the village. Her voice was soft, her eyes kind. The kind of girl who still said please and thank you. The first day we met, she smiled and said, "You must be Kofi, the senior houseboy." I laughed. Senior houseboy? I like that. But there was something about her. Something real. When she looked at me, she didn't see money or power. She saw a person. And that scared me. She brought me food sometimes. Said things like, "You work too hard, Kofi. Eat before you faint." I smiled, but deep down, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, shame. Days passed, and I noticed her watching. She saw the way Oheen looked at me, the way Madame Acua looked at both of us. She started to ask questions. "Kofi," she whispered one night, "why does Madame always look angry when you're around?" I laughed it off. "You think too much." But Amma wasn't stupid. and innocent eyes see clearer than guilty ones. One afternoon, I caught Madam watching me through the mirror in the hallway. She didn't blink. Her reflection was calm, but her eyes were full of answers. That's when I knew she knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. That evening, as I cleaned the living room, she said softly, "Kofi, come to my room after dinner. I want to discuss something important." Her voice was calm, too calm, and when a rich woman speaks that softly, it means danger is already waiting behind the door. That night, I walked to Madame Acua's room with my heart in my throat. The house was quiet. The lights were dim. The air smelled like wine and jasmine. She sat by her mirror, brushing her hair slowly. "Close the door, Kofi," she said. Her tone was soft, but cold, like a smile hiding a knife. I closed the door. "Do you know why I called you?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, madam." She looked at me through the mirror. "You're lying." My hands started to sweat. She turned around and faced me. "I've been watching you," she said. "You walk like this house belongs to you. You speak to my husband like an equal. You wear cologne now." "I just want to look clean, madam," I said quietly. "Clean for who?" she asked. I didn't answer. She stood up and walked toward me slowly. Her gold bracelets made a soft sound with every step. She stopped right in front of me. "Tell me, Kofi," she said. "What exactly is going on between you and my husband?" The room went silent. I couldn't lie fast enough. Her eyes didn't leave mine. "You think I don't know?" she said. "You think I'm blind?" I tried to speak. "Madam, I swear I didn't." "Don't." Her voice was sharp now. Then she sighed, her face calmer. "Oh, Kofi," she said. "You're not the first. My husband has done this before. You just happened to be the one who stayed longer." I froze. She poured herself a drink, then looked at me again. "You have two choices," she said. "Leave this house quietly, or stay, and serve me first." I didn't understand. "Serve you?" She smiled, but her eyes stayed cold. "Don't pretend to be innocent. You wanted power, didn't you? You wanted a place in this mansion. Fine, but you'll earn it through me now." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "If you tell my husband anything, I will destroy you." She turned away and sipped her wine. I stood there, numb, my throat dry. That night, when I left her room, I realized something terrible. I was no longer a worker. I was a weapon used by both husband and wife. And in that war, there was no winner, only survivors. After that night, the mansion changed. The walls still shone. The air still smelled of money, but nothing inside it was clean anymore. I now served two masters. By day, I obeyed Ohinkwasi, carried his food, answered his calls, smiled when he smiled. By night, I answered to Madame Acua, quiet, cold, controlling. They never spoke about it, but they both knew what was happening. Breakfast became a silent battle. He'd praise me just to hurt her. She'd compliment my cooking just to make him angry, and I was trapped between them, pretending not to notice. At first, I thought I was winning. I wore new clothes. I ate like the rich. I had money in my pocket. But power is a rope. The higher you climb, the tighter it chokes you. The other workers began to whisper. They said Madame had blessed me, that I used charms to make her husband trust me. I laughed on the outside, but inside, fear started growing again. One evening, Ohin called me to his study room. He was calm, too calm. "Kofi," he said, "do you think loyalty can survive temptation?" I hesitated. "I don't know, sir." He smiled faintly. "You will. Everyone learns the hard way." He opened a drawer and handed me an envelope. "Take this," he said. "Buy something for yourself." When I opened it, I saw a thick bundle of cash, more than I had ever held. But his eyes stayed on me, searching, measuring. "Tell me," he said softly, "who do you really serve in this house?" Before I could answer, Madame Acua's voice came from the hallway. "Kofi," she called. Ohin's jaw tightened. "Go," he said. "Your other master is waiting." That night, I understood the truth. I was no longer a servant. I was a secret being traded between two enemies. Amma saw it too. She stopped smiling when she looked at me. One night in the kitchen, she whispered, "Kofi, something is wrong in this house. You should leave before it destroys you." I wanted to listen, but comfort is a soft prison. Once it holds you, you stop wanting to escape. I told her, "Don't worry, Amma. I know what I'm doing." She looked at me sadly. "No one survives being a secret for too long." That night, I lay in bed, the envelope of money still beside me, and realized something that kept me awake till dawn. I had gained everything I wanted, but I no longer knew who I was. For weeks, the mansion lived on lies. Everyone smiled, everyone pretended. But beneath the surface, things were breaking. Madame Acua moved through the house like smoke, silent, cold, always watching. O'Heen sat in his study room for hours, staring at nothing. And me? I tried to act normal, but inside, I was falling apart. Amma was the only one who saw it. She had stopped talking much, but her eyes said everything. One afternoon, she gave me a tray for Madame and whispered, "Whatever you think you're protecting, it's already dying." I didn't reply, couldn't. That night, after dinner, I found a folded note under my plate. No name, just 3 words. "Meet me, midnight." I went. The night air was heavy, the generator humming softly. Amma stood behind it, holding a small torch. "Kofi," she said, "I heard Madame on the phone today. She's meeting someone from the bank tomorrow." She said, "I'll end it before he embarrasses me." I frowned. "End what?" Amma shook her head. "You, Kofi. She means you." The words froze me. She reached out, touched my arm. "Run before she ruins you." I wanted to believe her, but I told myself Amma was scared for nothing. "She won't do anything," I said. Amma's eyes filled with tears. "You still don't get it. You're trapped." Before I could answer, headlights cut across the compound. Car turned in through the gate. Madame Acua stepped out, talking to a man in a black suit. She gave him a brown envelope and looked straight toward the generator house. Amma gasped. She saw us. "Go." I slipped back into my quarters, heart pounding. From my window, I watched Madame hand the man another file. He nodded and drove away. She stood there for a long time, then went back inside. The next morning, the guard said O'Heen had fallen sick in the night. He was taken to the hospital. Madame said he had collapsed in his study room. That evening, she called me to the balcony. The sun was setting behind her, making her face look darker. "Kofi," she said, "from tomorrow you'll take care of everything in this house. Bills, cleaning, shopping, everything. You're the only one I can trust." Her words should have made me happy. Instead, they made my chest tighten. When she turned to go inside, I saw Amma watching from the garden below. Her face was pale, her eyes full of fear. And in that moment I knew, whatever was happening next, no one in that house would be safe. I woke up the next morning with a heavy chest. The house was too quiet. O'Heen was gone. Madame Acua was calm. Too calm. And Amma moved like a shadow, polite but watching everything. I told myself it was nothing, but my hands shook when I held the broom. That afternoon, a new plan formed in my head. I had to make myself untouchable, the only one Madame Acua could rely on. And to do that, I had to get rid of Amma. I remembered the gold-plated Guy Niam pendant O'Heen kept on his dresser. It was his pride, a family symbol of power. That evening, while Madame was in her room, I slipped into O'Heen's study room, took the pendant, and hid it inside Amma's bag in the servants' quarters. My heart pounded as I walked away. If they found it, she would be finished. I would be safe. The next morning, O'Heen returned from the hospital unexpectedly. Weak but walking, he went to his dresser. Minutes later, his voice boomed through the house. "Where is my gold pendant?" I stood by the hallway, pretending to be shocked. He stormed into the servants' quarters, dragged Amma into the open yard. "Thief!" he shouted. "You stole from me." Amma's eyes were wide, wet with tears. "No, sir. I didn't take anything." "Search her bag," O'Heen barked. The guards opened it. There it was, shining gold under the sun. Amma fell to her knees. "This is not mine. I swear." But in a rich man's house, truth doesn't matter once proof has been planted. "Get out," O'Heen thundered. "Before I call the police." The guards pushed her toward the gate. She turned, crying, her voice breaking. "Kofi, you did this to me. May God judge you." I kept my face straight. Inside, my stomach turned. That night, O'Heen called me into his room. He held my hand and said softly, "You saved me from a thief today. You're a good boy." I smiled. "I only do what's right, sir." But when I went back to my room, her words followed me. "May God judge you." For the first time since entering that mansion, I was afraid of my own plan, because somewhere deep down, I knew Amma wasn't done with me yet. The mansion was quiet again after Amma left. No laughter in the kitchen. No soft footsteps in the hallway. Only silence and the echo of my guilt. At first, I told myself I had won. Amma was gone. Oheen trusted me. Madame Acua said nothing. I was finally safe. But peace built on lies never lasts long. Oheen became even kinder to me. He said, "You are like the son I never had." He gave me money, new clothes, and respect. But every time he smiled, I remembered Amma's face at the gate, wet with rain, full of pain. Her voice haunted me. "Kofi, may God judge you." I heard it when I worked. I heard it when I slept. I couldn't escape it. Then one afternoon, Madame Acua came home early. She saw me sweeping the living room and stopped at the door. "Kofi," she said, "where is that gold pendant my husband was looking for?" I froze. "It was found in Amma's bag, madam." Her eyes narrowed. "Was it?" She walked in, her heels clicking on the marble floor. "I found this in my husband's drawer this morning." She lifted her hand, the same gold pendant shining between her fingers. My heart almost stopped. "So," she said quietly, "it was never stolen." I couldn't speak. My mouth went dry. My hands trembled. She smiled faintly. "Funny, isn't it? How lies always find their way home." "Madam, Shoo!" She raised a finger. "Don't bother explaining. I know what you did." She stepped closer. Her perfume filled the room. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't worry, Kofi. I won't tell him. Not yet." Then she walked away, leaving me frozen. That night I couldn't sleep. I felt her eyes on me even when she wasn't there. Every sound in the house made me jump. I kept seeing Amma's tears, Madame's smile, and Oheen's trust, all circling me like ghosts I had created myself. The next morning, Madame acted normal. She greeted me softly, ate her breakfast, and said, "Kofi, remember to water the flowers today." But I knew better. Her calm wasn't peace. It was a trap waiting for the right moment. I had played smart for too long. Now the house was smarter than me. It happened on a Tuesday morning. The sky was gray, and the air felt heavy. I was polishing the veranda when I heard a voice at the gate. "I need to see Madame Acua." I froze. I knew that voice. Amma. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. But when I looked up, she was standing there, thinner, darker, but alive. Not broken. Not afraid. Madame Acua came out holding a cup of tea. Her face was calm. "Amma," she said, "you have some courage coming back here." Amma bowed slightly. "Madam, please. I didn't come to fight. I came to clear my name." "Oh," Madame asked, "and how will you do that?" "Because I didn't steal anything," Amma said. Her voice shook, but her eyes were strong. "Someone planted that pendant in my bag. I swear it." Madame Acua looked at me then. Not long, just one slow glance that told me she already knew. "Who would do such a thing?" she asked softly. Amma followed her gaze and saw me standing by the wall. Her voice cracked. "Him. It was him." The world went quiet. Even the wind stopped. Madame turned to me. "Kofi?" I stammered. "She's lying, madam. I would never." Amma stepped forward. "Check his room," she said. "You'll find something." Madame didn't answer. She just turned and began walking toward my quarters. I followed, my knees weak. She opened drawers, lifted clothes, searched every corner. Then she found it, the small velvet pouch the pendant had come from. She held it up, her eyes sharp. "Ah," she said softly. "So this is where the truth sleeps." Amma's tears fell fast. "You ruined me, Kofi. You let them throw me out like trash." I dropped to my knees. "Amma, I'm sorry. Please." Madame raised her hand. "Enough." She turned to Amma. "Go to the kitchen. Eat something. You're safe now." Then she faced me. "You wanted to be clever," she said quietly. "Now you'll see what it costs." That night, Oheen collapsed in his room. The guards carried him to the hospital. Madame didn't cry. She just stared at me, her face blank. Hours later, she returned alone. Her eyes were red, but her voice was steady. "He's gone," she said. Her gaze locked on me. "Congratulations, Kofi. You finally have the house to yourself." Then she walked past me and closed her door. I stood there in the dark, shaking. The mansion that once made me feel powerful now felt like a prison made of mirrors, each one showing me what I had become. And for the first time, I wished I had never walked through that gate. For days after Oheen's death, the mansion felt like a funeral that refused to end. The smell of incense filled every corner, and visitors came and went. Politicians, bankers, churchmen, all speaking in whispers. I moved through the house like a shadow. No one looked at me, but I felt every stare. Every whisper sounded like my name. Madame Acua wore black every day. Not the crying kind of widow, the quiet kind. The kind who thinks while everyone else mourns. After the burial, she called me into her room. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were different, colder, sharper. "Sit down, Kofi," she said. I sat on the edge of the chair, my palms sweating. She poured herself a drink. "Do you know what my husband left behind?" I shook my head. "A house, 3 cars, 2 accounts." She took a slow sip. "And one secret." My throat went dry. She looked straight at me. "He changed his will before he died. The lawyer told me this morning. He left a small piece of land in your name." Couldn't breathe. "Land?" She nodded. "Said you were like a son to him." I didn't know whether to feel blessed or cursed. "You should be happy," she said softly. "But something tells me you're not." I stared at the floor. "Madam, I never wanted this. I just wanted to survive." She smiled faintly. "Oh, Kofi, you keep saying that. But surviving and scheming are not the same thing." She stood and walked to the window. "You think the world will pity you because you're poor? It won't. It never does. But remember this." She turned, her eyes burning through me. "Everything stolen has a spirit that will one day return for its price." That night I couldn't sleep. Amma had gone back to her family. The guards avoided me. Even the maids whispered when I passed. I sat in the dark, staring at the envelope with my name on it, the proof that I had gained something from a man I helped destroy. The mansion was quiet, but inside me there was a storm, because I had learned the truth too late. You can steal a man's trust. You can even steal his home, but you can never steal peace. And as the wind howled through the window, I knew my time in that house was running out. 2 weeks after the funeral, the house changed. The laughter, the noise, the music, all gone. Even the air felt heavier. The mansion had become a tomb made of gold. I tried to stay busy. I swept floors that were already clean. I polished mirrors that no longer showed a face I recognized. Madame Acua stopped talking to me. No greetings, no instructions. Only silence. It was worse than anger. Then one afternoon, a black car drove into the compound. 2 men stepped out. One in a gray suit, the other in police uniform. They went straight to Madame's office. Minutes later, she called out, "Kofi, come inside." My stomach tightened. I walked in slowly. She was sitting behind the table, her hands folded neatly. "Kofi," she said softly, "these men are from the Criminal Investigations Department. They have some questions for you." "Questions?" I repeated, my throat dry. The officer nodded. "We received a report about Mr. O'Heen's missing documents and some suspicious transactions. Your name came up." My knees weakened. "I don't know anything about that," I said quickly. The officer looked at Madame. She just sipped her tea and said, "Check his room." I turned to her, my heart pounding. "Madame, why are you doing this?" She smiled faintly. "Because I warned you, Kofi. Everything stolen must be paid for." The officers searched my quarters. Within minutes, one of them shouted, "Ma'am, we found something." He held up a small brown envelope, the same one O'Heen had given me weeks before his death. Inside were papers with his signature, and beneath them, a check I had never seen before. I couldn't speak. I didn't even know how it got there. The officer grabbed my wrist. "You're coming with us." Madame stood by the door, watching silently. As they dragged me out, she whispered, "I didn't destroy you, Kofi. You destroyed yourself." Outside, the sky was dark with rain. The same kind of sky that hung over Adafoa the day I swore to the sea that I would make it, no matter what. Now, as the police car carried me away from the mansion I once dreamed of owning, I finally understood. Hunger had brought me here, but greed had buried me. The police station smelled of sweat, dust, and hopelessness. They pushed me into a small cell with 3 other men. The walls were damp, the floor cold. When the metal door slammed shut, the sound felt final, like the world had ended outside. For hours, I sat in the corner, trying to think. How had it all gone wrong so fast? Just weeks ago, I was sleeping on clean sheets, eating food I didn't earn, walking like a man who mattered. Now I was just another forgotten boy behind bars. At dawn, an officer came and called my name. "Kofi, you have a visitor." When I stepped out, I saw her, Madame Acua, still dressed in black, calm as ever. Her eyes met mine through the iron bars. Why are you here? I asked, my voice shaking. She studied me for a moment before saying, I wanted to see what's left of you. I clenched my fists. You set me up. No, Kofi, she said softly. You set yourself up. I just made sure the truth caught you. What truth? I snapped. That I was poor? That I wanted more from life? She sighed. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. The problem is when you start taking what isn't yours. Her voice was calm, but her words cut deeper than any slap. I could still help you, she added. But you'll have to confess. Tell them everything you did. Tell them about the lies, the deceit, the stolen pendant. I shook my head. I can't. She smiled sadly. Then you'll stay here, and the world will forget your name. She turned to leave, her heels echoing down the corridor. Madam, I called out. She stopped but didn't turn. I never meant to hurt anyone, I said quietly. I just wanted to live. She paused for a moment, then said, and now you finally are, in the life you chose. Then she walked away. When the guard closed the door again, I sank to the floor. The other men in the cell stared at me, but no one spoke. Outside, the rain started to fall, tapping the roof like quiet applause for my downfall. In that moment, I realized something I had never understood before. You can lie your way into a mansion, but the truth will always find a key to your prison. Days turned into weeks. No one came to see me again. The guards barely spoke. The cell became my world, small, gray, and full of ghosts I couldn't see but could feel. Every night I replayed my choices like an old movie, leaving Ada Foa, meeting Ajoa, walking through the gates of that mansion. Each decision felt like a step toward this very place. The other prisoners had stories too. A boy who stole bread for his sister. A man who fought for land he didn't own. But none of them lied the way I did. None of them wore sin like perfume. One afternoon, a guard called my name again. You have a letter, he said, sliding an envelope through the bars. I opened it slowly. The handwriting was neat. It was Amma's. Kofi, I heard what happened. Madam came to see my mother last week. She told us the police found papers with your name. I don't know if you're guilty or not, but I know you're not the same boy who helped me carry water in Adafoa. That boy had a clean heart. Maybe life made you forget who you were. I don't hate you anymore. I just hope you find peace. Amma. I stared at the letter until the ink blurred through my tears. For the first time in months, I cried not out of fear, but from shame. That night I couldn't sleep. Amma's words kept echoing in my head. Maybe life made you forget who you were. She was right. Somewhere between hunger and ambition, I had lost myself. I had become the very kind of man I once hated. A user, a liar, a thief of trust. The next morning, I asked to see the police chief. When I stood before him, I said the words that had been burning my tongue. I want to confess. He looked at me like he'd heard it 1,000 times. Why now? Because lies don't sleep, I said quietly, and mine have kept me awake for too long. For the next hour, I told him everything. How it started, the lies I told, the games I played, and the mansion I destroyed. When I finished, he said nothing. He just nodded and wrote on his pad. As they took me back to my cell, I felt lighter. For the first time since I entered that house, I could breathe. But deep inside, I knew something else too. Confession doesn't erase the past. It only stops it from growing darker. Months passed. The world outside forgot me. But inside, time moved like smoke. Slow, endless, and heavy. I worked in the prison garden, watering small plants that fought for life between cracks of concrete. Funny, I thought. Even here, something still wanted to grow. One morning, the guard called my name again. Kofi, you're needed at the office. I followed him quietly, heart pounding. When I stepped in, a man in a black suit was waiting. He wore glasses and carried a briefcase. Are you Kofi Mensah? He asked. Yes, sir. I'm from the law firm of Ajay and Sons. I handled the estate of the late Mr. Ohene Kwasi. He opened his file and looked at me. It seems your name is still on one of the properties, the small land near Kasoa. I blinked. I thought that was a mistake. He smiled faintly. Maybe, but the document was legal. Madame Acua never revoked it. My chest tightened. Why are you telling me this? He closed the file. Because she asked me to. Before she left the country. I froze. Left? He nodded. She sold the mansion, paid off all debts, and moved abroad. Before she left, she told us to give you this. He handed me a small brown envelope. Inside was a folded note and a bus ticket. You once said you wanted a second chance, Kofi. Here it is. The land is still yours. Whether you build a home or a grave on it, that's up to you. I sat there staring at the letter, my hands shaking. For the first time in a long time, I felt air rush through my lungs. Freedom, not from walls but from lies. A month later, I was released. The world hadn't changed, but I had. The sun felt different. The noise of the city no longer scared me. I took the bus to Kasoa. The land was dry, wild, and empty, just like I had been when I first came to Accra. I dropped to my knees and pressed my palms into the dirt. No mansion, no gold, no servants, just earth honest and quiet. I whispered to the wind, I will build again, but this time I will build clean. As the sun sank behind the hills, I felt something I hadn't felt since I was a boy, peace. Because sometimes, life doesn't end when you fall. It begins when you finally stop running from the truth.